Heritage can be experienced in many ways. One can take a walk through a garden with centuries-old structures like the Lodi Garden in Delhi, or one can take a flight thousands of kilometers away to visit places which are thousands of years old. But we like to do things differently at AutoToday. We like to drive. And that is what we are going to do for this latest part of the Heritage of India series with Hyundai. And this time around, our companion for the journey is the Hyundai Creta, an absolute juggernaut in the Indian SUV segment that has truly transformed the way that Indians approach mobility. And with the Creta, we drive to Alwar, a city not very far from Delhi NCR that has history, culture and heritage woven into every bit of it. As we wanted to avoid the traffic of Delhi NCR, we quickly navigated through the roads and got onto the Delhi-Mumbai expressway. Now, Alwar is situated about 170 kilometers from Delhi, which makes it a very pleasant drive from the national capital. You have the Delhi-Mumbai expressway to use here, and the Creta on this highway is an absolute magic to drive. It's got more than ample power. It's got the intelligent IVT transmission with 8 steps, which means even when you are cruising at 120, which is the speed limit of this expressway, you're still being efficient. Now the Hyundai Creta is loaded with tech and features to the absolute brim. And my favorite to use on long journeys like this is the Hyundai Smart Sense ADAS suite. Now it comes with smart cruise control with stop and go, as well as a lane following assist feature. Now you switch them on via the steering mounted buttons. You set your preferred speed and you let the car do the driving. It follows the speed, it follows the lanes precisely, and of course it is safe, but keep your hands on the steering and be prepared for anything because there is no replacement for human skill and instinct. After about 100 kilometers of the expressway, one needs to take the exit for Alwar, which isn't as nice as the expressway and is a dual carriageway for 40 odd kilometers. The condition of the roads here isn't the best either, but for me, seated in the Hyundai Creta with its 190 mm of ground clearance, most of this was a mild jerk here and there. So after a very enjoyable drive on the highway towards Alwar, we have finally entered the city. It is nestled between the beautiful Aravalli hills, and we are headed right for the hill on top of which is the Alwar Fort. After reaching Alwar, the first place that I wanted to visit was the Alwar Fort, which sits atop the Aravalli hills. So we started driving up the mountains, and the last section of this route is inside the Siliserh Tiger Reserve. So one has to get a pass for their vehicle, but the road is just absolutely brilliant and very picturesque. Although it is a single lane road, so one has to be a bit careful while driving through this centuries old route to the Alwar Fort. The Alwar Fort is perched atop a hill and 1,000 feet above the city of Alwar, and it provides a great vantage point to observe the entirety of the city. The Alwar Fort's appearance is quite misleading. It appears to be small, but in fact it stretches 5 kilometers in length and 1.5 kilometers in width. The ramparts snake their way through the hills with massive bastions on either sides. The palace is quite big too and has a lot of maze-like passageways and display areas for ancient weaponry, including cannons and guns. Built 1,000 years ago, the fort has visible signs of many eras of development, and considering that it sits inside the Alwar section of the Siliserh Tiger Reserve, visitors can take a stroll through the fort and spend some time at a safari as well. After a long walk off the premises of the Alwar Fort, I am happy to be back in the Creta and its comfortable seats, because now I am headed to another monument which is not made out of brick or mortar. It is actually made out of water. Yes, we are headed to the Siliserh Lake, which is an incredible sight for a lot of people visiting the place for the first time. The Siliserh Lake was built in 1845 by creating an embankment on the Ruparel River. The lake was built to ensure year-round water supply to Alwar, and today it is one of the top tourist destinations in the area owing to its incredible beauty. On one of the embankments of the lake sits the Siliserh Lake Palace, built around the same time as the lake and today is a heritage hotel for keen history buffs who would like to spend a night or two here. The palace, with its white facades, shines as a symbol of incredible heritage and culture of Rajasthan. Owing to the tourist season, the lake and the lake palace can be incredibly crowded. So, we decided to take the Creta to the other side of the lake, driving through the Aravali hills.
While you can definitely enjoy the Siliserh Lake and the Siliserh Lake Palace, in the tourist season it is quite crowded. So you can head to the backside of the Siliserh Lake, as I am sitting in a cafe enjoying a spot of lunch, and you can enjoy a more serene view of the lake as well as the palace from here. And more interestingly, this part of the lake also has some crocodiles which you can sometimes spot if you have a keen eye. Now, Alwar is not a big city, it's quite small, and therefore it has a lot of narrow lanes with a lot of old buildings, and traffic can get very unruly here. And one of the features of the Creta that I have been absolutely loving is the 360-degree view surround camera. Not only does it give me a view of every angle of the car, but also gives me guidelines, and because it has parking sensors at the front and the rear, it tells me how much space I have to maneuver in tight situations. So for this part of the Heritage of India series with Hyundai, we explored Alwar and its incredible heritage, the forts, the Siliserh Lake, and that behind me is the Kasroli Fort. And I'm going to head in for a spot of lunch because it is also a heritage hotel, and then we head back home.